Who caught that boy? Who stretched that boy? Who caught that boy? I'm him.
I ain't never seen that man with YoungBoy before that shit happened with V-Roy. You see what I'm saying? It's like he using that like as a face card to be around him, like to make them look a little tough. You see what I'm saying?
After King Von was sent to that lobby, it feels like those OBlock rivals been trying to creep their way back into the spotlight. Even after all these years, Lul Tim started popping back up online, tossing subtle shots like he's got nothing to lose, even though 5 full years have passed and the tension is starting to feel dangerous all over again. Today, we're breaking down some heavy street politics that got the entire hip-hop world watching every single move like it's a live movie. Before we jump into this wild situation, make sure you tap that like button because every single one helps keep this family growing strong. To understand how all of this got reignited, we have to rewind the clock back to November 6, 2020. That was the night King Von tragically lost his life outside an Atlanta hookah lounge, a moment that shook the entire culture. Lil Tim Quando Rando's close associate was the one who fired the shot and claimed it was self. The courts accepted that and the charges were dropped. But the streets never truly did, and they definitely never forgot. For 5 long years, this situation had been sitting on low heat. NBA YoungBoy kept throwing slick verbal shots at OBlock through his music. Lil Tim stayed moving around YB like he was untouchable, and OBlock stayed quiet, watching, waiting, calculating. But what happened this week turned all that quiet pressure into straight boiling energy. And trust, this goes way deeper than what people outside the culture might understand. King Von wasn't just another rapper from Chicago. To OBlock, he was real royalty, a figure respected on a whole different level. He came up under Chief Keef's guidance, but Von carried something different. While Sosa helped create drill music, people from the streets always said Von had a real reputation long before the industry ever knew his name. For years, folks spoke on the type of life he lived before he ever touched a booth. So when Von passed, it wasn't just the loss of an artist. OBlock lost someone they looked at as a true leader, someone they believed could open doors for their future. And this is where things take a crazy turn. NBA YoungBoy recently dropped a freestyle called Zero IQ, and a lot of people felt the track was highly disrespectful toward King Von's legacy. But Lil Tim took it even further and made the situation way heavier. He jumped on TikTok, posted a video of himself moving like nothing mattered, and started rapping along to the most controversial part of the song. The exact bars everybody online was heated about. Who popped that boy? I'm him. Who started that boy? I'm him. There was nothing subtle about it, no coded message, no attempt to hide it. Lil Tim was basically putting it all out there in front of millions, moving like he was proud of what happened and didn't care who saw it. That energy alone had people calling him reckless, because the boldness behind it was on another level.
Who caught that boy? Who stretched that boy? Who caught that boy? I'm him.
Got on that plate that's hot smoking like that.
But what really lit the internet on fire was the timing behind that TikTok. Lil Tim dropped that video on November 6, 2025, the exact same date King Von lost his life, just 5 years later. And that's where things got even crazier. On that same day, November 6, 2025, Lil Tim's grandfather also passed away. Same date, 5 years apart. Once people started putting those dates together, the internet went into a frenzy. Now, here's why that TikTok hit different from all the other disrespect people have been seeing online. Up to this point, most of the shots were coming through music, subliminals, metaphors, coded lines that artists could always deny if they got pressed. It left room for excuses like, nah, I wasn't talking about that. But Lil Tim threw all of that out the window. He looked straight into the camera, rapped those exact words with full confidence, and made sure there was no room for confusion about what he meant. And the way the video was set up made it clear this wasn't some random moment. It looked like he was in a studio or at least a professionally set up spot. Clean lighting, clear audio. Everything looked intentional. This wasn't a spontaneous vibe. It was calculated content designed to get maximum reaction and send a message that couldn't be misinterpreted. And trust, OBlock wasn't letting that slide. Muna Ike, one of the most vocal OBlock members since Von passed, wasted no time responding. He jumped straight on social media and addressed Lil Tim directly, making it clear the disrespect wasn't being ignored and OBlock wasn't turning the other cheek on something like that. Ike went straight at Tim, accusing him of using King Von's passing like a face card to stay relevant. He also questioned why Tim only started popping up around NBA YoungBoy after the situation with Von. Ike made it clear he wasn't buying that sudden relationship at all. In that interview with FYB Maine, that's been circulating everywhere, Ike spoke real direct. He said, I ain't never seen that man with YoungBoy before that situation with Von happened. He using that like a face card to make them look a little tough. That line alone had people locked in. because Ike wasn't sugarcoating anything, and he didn't stop at music or internet moments. Ike also called out the way Lil Tim's been carrying himself since that night in Atlanta. He pointed out how Tim's been making songs about the situation, performing it on stage, and moving like a street legend, when in Ike's words.
Seen that man with YoungBoy before that shit happened with V-Roy, you see what I'm saying? It's like he using that like as a face card to be around him, like to make them look a little tough, you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's how I look at it, but I ain't really like.
So if it was so,
it ain't much I can say because I'm still I'm working on my way up and shit, you see what I'm saying? I ain't, if my time gonna come, it's whatever, but it's just that shit, like that's specific.
According to Ike, the whole situation wasn't handled like real street business at all. He made it plain and simple. You got off, bro. It's not like you did some street business and it just stayed in the streets. That one statement alone had the entire timeline buzzing. From there, he dug even deeper into the story Tim and his supporters have been pushing for years. Based on what Ike and other OBlock members are saying, that night wasn't as clear-cut as the internet made it seem. They're claiming Von wasn't even the main one pressing the situation aggressively, and that the media flipped the story to paint Tim as some kind of hero stepping in to protect his friend.
Because do you understand the whole situation or what?
I understand, but it's like, all right, you did what you did, okay.
Because
cool.
I heard, not to cut you off, but I heard a lot of people from y'all side getting that, some people saying he did with like.
But he'll do what any street do if he got to defend his people. But it's like, all right, you did what you did, that's cool, all right. Boom, the police was involved, you got off, bro. It ain't like you did some street shit and like, it's just left in the streets. That shit on some police shit too at the same time, you get what I'm saying? Like, do shit, like it's a difference from doing some street shit and the motherfucker know you did some street shit, right? And your name, you in the streets, like, your name ring or whatever. But you did some street shit, whatever, you claim, but the police was involved in that shit. But it's like, I don't like the way he go about it, like, be flexing and shit, like, don't act like you did some shit and just got away, like, off the chain, like, off that, like, bro, this ain't, like, it's some shit I can't even say, but it's like, I don't like how
That statement hit people hard because it directly challenged the story most folks have been running with for years. Ike wrapped it up by saying Tim needs to stay humble, because the same kind of situation he's proud of can easily turn on anybody who moves careless. He made it clear that reckless behavior always circles back, and anyone who believes they're untouchable can be brought back to reality real fast in these streets. Let's break down the real truth behind this whole situation, because it goes way deeper than just one moment outside that hookah lounge. This wasn't some random run-in. It came from long-standing tension, pride, ego, and years of street history building up until everything finally exploded that night. King Von and his people pulled up on Quando Rando outside that Atlanta spot. And anyone who knew Von understood why the energy got tense instantly. Von carried real weight in the streets, and people always said he never hesitated to step to anyone when something had to be addressed. Backing down was never part of his image. That reputation followed him everywhere. But here's what a lot of people don't understand about Lil Tim. According to Muna Ike and other OBlock members, Tim wasn't seen as some major street figure before this happened. He was simply Quando's partner who happened to be armed that night. They've said he wasn't moving like someone deeply involved in the streets before all this. He was just caught in a serious moment and reacted to protect his friend. When Von and his people pressed up on Quando, Tim saw his guy in danger and responded the way a loyal friend would. That part by itself isn't what made everyone angry. It's everything that came after that moment that fueled all the tension and disrespect we see today. Instead of staying low, moving smart, and keeping things quiet, Lil Tim used the situation as a launchpad to build a name for himself. He linked up heavy with NBA YoungBoy, started making music about what happened, and pushed this new image like he was some longtime street powerhouse. That's what really set OBlock off. Not just the loss itself, but the way Tim carried himself afterward. And now we have to talk about the NBA YoungBoy connection, because this is where things get truly messy. YoungBoy and Lil Durk have been locked in a deep feud for years, long before anything happened with Von. So when the Atlanta situation went down, it gave YoungBoy a fresh way to pressure that rivalry even harder. Overnight, Tim went from being Quando's quiet homeboy to being everywhere next to YoungBoy, traveling, performing, and moving like he was part of the inner circle.
Humble, gang. You see what I'm saying? I feel like he ain't humble about that shit, like, cause the same way like you did what you did, that shit could happen to you too, gang. Like on some easy shit. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Bro, you got lucky. You did what you did. You defended you stood your ground, whatever. But it's like, it's just the way like had be playing out now, like all that on stage and okay, you
tough,
like yeah, gang. Like I don't be liking that gang, cause
bro was a gangster.
Bro was a gangster. This is what I'm saying.
He died a gangster.
Ain't doing no like with shit like that, bro. It's like, bro, you got lucky, really, bro. Like it ain't like you was on no You ain't finna face this man face to face and just, you got lucky, his back.
The street politics behind all of this are way more complicated than what the internet sees. The deeper you look, the clearer it becomes why this situation refuses to die down. Quando Rondo has been tied to YoungBoy's for KT movement for years, and their connection runs back long before this drama. But Tim was just Quando's partner from Savannah, someone who never asked for the spotlight and suddenly got thrown into it after one night in Atlanta changed everything. And once that TikTok dropped, everything exploded. Within hours, the video was everywhere. Millions of views, thousands of comments, whole timelines turning into war zones. King Von supporters flooded Tim's comment section with insults and warnings, while YoungBoy fans rushed in to defend his right to speak. At that point, it wasn't even about music anymore. It turned into a full-blown online battlefield. But it didn't stop with random fans. OBlock members started posting their own responses across social media. Instagram stories, tweets, TikToks, they were popping up everywhere. Some shared throwback clips of Vaughn smiling, rapping, living life. Others posted short, cryptic messages that felt like direct shots at Tim without even saying his name. One post stood out heavy. An OBlock member shared a video playing Vaughn's music with the caption, "Long live Vaughn. We ain't forget nothing." That message hit hard because it showed OBlock still views everything tied to that night as unfinished business, no matter what the courts decided. Meanwhile, YoungBoy's camp stayed quiet. YB himself hasn't publicly addressed any of the messages or rising tension. But behind the scenes, word is he increased security around Tim and the rest of the crew. That alone shows they're watching the situation closely, even if they're not speaking on it publicly. Now let's talk about this November 6th connection, because this is where things start to feel eerie. King Von lost his life on November 6th, 2020, around 2:22 a.m. outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, a date fans will never forget. Then 5 years later, on November 6th, 2025, Lil Tim's grandfather passed away. As soon as that news surfaced, the internet went wild, connecting the dates like it was some kind of sign. Vaughn supporters started saying it was proof of spiritual justice, pointing out that Tim posted that disrespectful TikTok on the very same day his grandfather passed. The timing had people talking everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all filled with theories, fears, and heated debates over whether it was coincidence or something deeper. Some folks online started calling it cosmic justice or Vaughn's revenge from the afterlife. Tim's supporters tried to brush it off as pure coincidence, saying people were overthinking it. But no matter how you spin it, the timing still feels wild, especially when you consider how calculated Tim usually is with his online moves. Then people dug even deeper and learned that Tim's grandfather was reportedly the one who raised him when his parents weren't around, which only made the situation feel heavier. So losing his grandfather on the exact same date as the Vaughn situation had the internet talking nonstop. People started calling it spiritual payback, like balance being restored in the universe. As the hours passed, the theories only grew louder, and Chicago's response came fast. Real fast. Multiple OBlock affiliates jumped on social media with posts that felt like direct warnings aimed straight at Tim. They shared old clips of King Von, posting throwbacks of him laughing, performing, and living life, paired with captions like, "We still here," and "Justice on the way." Those messages hit harder than simple tributes, and fans could feel it. But it wasn't just OBlock speaking up. Other Chicago drill artists who were close to Vaughn started chiming in too. Even people connected to FBG Duck Circle, a side that didn't always see eye to eye with OBlock, showed public support for Vaughn's memory while calling out the disrespect. That surprised a lot of folks and proved how deep this situation cut across the entire Chicago scene. Things got so intense that certain venues started canceling NBA YoungBoy shows over safety concerns. Promoters didn't want any risk at their events, especially if OBlock affiliates might try to pull up during a performance. Some even released vague statements about security issues without naming anyone, but everybody knew exactly what they meant. The backlash to Lil Tim's TikTok came fast and heavy. OBlock members flooded social media with warning posts, long statements, and videos calling out the disrespect. Meanwhile, the comment section under that TikTok turned into full-on warfare. Von supporters and YB fans going back and forth nonstop like it was a live battlefield. But here's the part that really put people on edge. According to sources close to the situation, OBlock hasn't just been talking online. They've reportedly been actively trying to locate Lul Tim. The energy around this situation is starting to feel dangerous again, and the streets are watching every move closely. A lot of people feel like Tim has been hiding behind NBA, YoungBoy's fame, and heavy security, and they're saying they want that one-on-one confrontation without any protection in the way. The tension got so loud that law enforcement stepped in. Atlanta police reportedly increased patrols in areas where YoungBoy's camp usually moves, trying to prevent anything close to another tragedy like what happened the night Von lost his life. Even the music industry has been paying close attention. Record labels have been holding quiet meetings behind closed doors about artist safety and whether it's worth keeping artists tied to real-life street beef that can spill outside the music world. Some industry insiders have said Tim's TikTok crossed a serious line, one the business side of music doesn't want attached to their brands. This whole situation shows how much social media has changed everything. Back in the day, if you had an issue with someone, it stayed off camera. No phones, no posts, no global audience watching every move. Now people get online bragging, posting TikToks, repeating wild lyrics, then acting surprised when others take it as disrespect and respond. Everything is amplified because it's happening on a worldwide stage instead of staying in the shadows. Lul Tim could have stayed low-key, kept earning quietly through his ties with YoungBoy, and lived his life in peace. Instead, he kept throwing shots online, poking the bear over and over. And now that bear is fully awake and ready to strike back. OBlock isn't known for letting disrespect slide, especially when it involves King Von's name and legacy. And the wild part is, this beef shows no signs of slowing down. Von's death opened the door to a cycle of tension that's been running for 5 straight years. Every time things seem to cool off, something reignites it. A post, a song, a message like gasoline on fire. All of this also highlights a bigger issue: how drill culture and long-standing beefs trap young men in cycles they didn't even start. Von was in his mid-20s with his entire life ahead of him. Tim is still young too, with plenty of time to build something meaningful. These guys could be building businesses, raising families, and changing their communities. Instead, they're caught fighting battles rooted in conflicts older than them, dragging generations of tension into the present. And social media just keeps feeding the fire that never gets a chance to die out. In the end, this whole situation is straight tragic. No matter which side you look at, King Von was a gifted artist with real talent who could have built a completely different future if he'd stepped away from the streets earlier. On the other side, Lul Tim made a split-second decision, tried to protect his friend, but that moment left a permanent target on his back, and that weight doesn't fade easily. OBlock members like Muna, I feel it's their duty to defend their fallen brother's honor, and that loyalty runs deep in their world. And this whole November 6th connection, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's something deeper. That decision is up to you. But one thing is clear: that TikTok put Lul Tim right back in the spotlight and made him one of the most watched names in Chicago street politics right now. OBlock and the Chicago scene aren't known for letting disrespect slide, especially when it involves Von's legacy. This tension has been building for 5 long years, and it's only getting heavier. Every post, every diss, every track adds new fuel to something that already feels ready to explode. At this point, the real question isn't if something else will happen, it's when. So what do you think? Was Lul Tim wrong for posting that TikTok? Or was he just speaking his mind like anyone else? And what about that November 6th connection? Coincidence or something deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. Before you head out, make sure you smash that like button and show love. Every tap helps this movement grow. Share this video with your people so they can tap into the story too. And if you're new here or been watching without joining the family, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss what we drop. The streets never sleep, And we're just getting started. There are way more stories to uncover, way more truth to break down, and tomorrow's upload is about to be even deeper and absolutely unmissable. Stay locked in, keep rocking with us daily, and we'll catch you in the next one right here at Rap Uncovered, where the real truth of the streets lies.